Hey everyone, this is Electoral Collge Studios and we're back with a new episode on the topic of what's known as the Electoral College in the US. Candidate Joe Biden has been elected as the United States' 46th president, and people have been talking a lot about the dispute on the fairness and accuracy of the voting system in the country.
Every 4 years, it happens again. Old candidates jumping out to convince people that they're exactly the right person that has all the right mix of good stuff to lead America. But no matter which candidate you vote for, you're not actually voting for that person because
what we know as the voting system in US is the Electoral College.
I'll define what this is. The Electoral College is the device where each of the states selects a certain number of electors equal to their representatives in Congress. So if we go back over 200 years to look at how the voting system was established, a man named James Wilson has great significance. He wanted one single person to rule the country, while others with their astonished faces said, "We just had a revolution to get rid of the king. Isn't that just going to be a monarch under a new name?" But Wilson replied, No, you're getting the idea wrong here. People can now choose the president by popular vote."
But still, in the 18th century, they had primitive roads, primitive transportations where people would ride horses to move to different places. So how could people in the small and rural regions know what candidates even existed?
That's the reason why the smart guy, Wilson, suggested an indirect election instead of the direct. Yes, people accepted it and it was all great. The Electoral College was originally designed to balance the powers of the government and protect the rights of the people. Skipping all the transformation the system has gone throughout time, the Electoral College finally adopted the winner-take-all system.
Okay, so we're now moving on to the modern appearance and function of the Electoral College. What do you guys notice a lot from the news reports?
Well, there is a term called the national poll, which means 전국 여론조사 in Korean. So this basically shows the preference of the people in a nation.
But particularly in the US, people have been multiple times informed that these national polls don't actually tell you who is going to win.
Yes, the swing states matter a lot in the US. When Americans vote for president, what they are actually voting for is who their state will vote for. This means that you are not actually directly giving a vote to the president, but instead, you're fighting with the people in your state to make sure that the final decision of your state's vote is the candidate that you desire.
And this is the reason why every so often someone wins the presidency without winning the popular vote. Former President Donald Trump's case is an example of this.
So each state has a number of representatives in the Congress based on its population. And every state also gets 2 senators. Take an example of Texas, which consists of a big population, and Vermont, that has a small population.
Texas has 36 representatives in Congress, while Vermont only has 1. In the Electoral College, a state gets the same number of votes as their congressional representatives, plus 2 for each senator. So Texas has 38 electoral votes, while Vermont has 3.
Wait, then if each state can represent only one candidate as a whole, this seems like the power of votes in Vermont is 3 times greater than that of Texas because of the population difference.
Yes, and this makes each individual person's vote in Vermont a lot more influential. The winner of the presidential election is the candidate who gets 270 or more of the state's vote, and thus we call 270 the magic number in America.
Now we can move back to the system of winner takes all. This system explains that the candidate who gets the most votes in a state gets all its electoral votes. So despite the fact that they win the state by 1%, they take all 100% of the electoral votes.
So it seems like it's very important for candidates to appeal to all the different states so they can ensure that they can win the votes, at least by a tiny bit.
Exactly. This is the reason why the swing states are so important to consider during the campaigning, because polls show that the vote here could swing to one party or another in nearly every election. In America, Florida is usually a swing state. This means that these states have way more influence over the election than the other ones. The swing states only exist because of the Electoral College. That's the point we should really focus. It's making some voters more powerful than others.
Considering the demographic of the states with a lot of people and the others with not a lot of people, places with a small population are a lot wider and less diverse than the rest of America. And many of these states are Republican strongholds. The states with a lot of population tend to vote Democratic. Thus, we can see that the Democrats have been disadvantaged by the Electoral College.
Swing states change. What doesn't is the fact that the Electoral College gives certain people more power to pick the president, and its biggest defenders have always been those who benefit the most from it. This is a critical comment from Vox News, and this leaves a strong linger in our minds to judge what really needs to be done in the voting system of America.
I think the system of the Electoral College of each state, getting a certain number of electors based on its total number of representatives, may help ensure that all parts of the country vote for this election, especially in the US, the world's third biggest population. However, I also think it gives too much power to the swing states, and candidates only need to pay attention to the limited number of states that can swing one way or the other. I surely think that system is inevitable, but also has many weaknesses. It is funny how the results can be different when done with a popular system, which counts all votes. Therefore, the strategies of earning these votes are crucial to the candidates.
It is very interesting that the US is the only country who uses this system. And to be honest, I think the system is a little bit old-fashioned. This system was first created because of the large population of the US and the lack of technology to use any other methods. Though there could be other variables that we haven't discussed in this episode, I think the system is not a way to exactly know the candidate that people prefer the most. A lot of the votes seem to be biased. For example, think of two groups with the same population, each supporting different candidates. One group is spread among multiple states, and one group is gathered into one state. The number of people supporting each candidate are the same, but one candidate with their supporters spread along different states will gain much more votes. Though this is an extreme example, it clearly shows the possible biased result.
Our episode was supported by the amazing and informative videos created from the National Geographic and Vox News.
Thank you very much for listening to our episode. We hope you received a relevant topic to think about and acknowledge to keep striving to make our society a better place to live.
Blue Record will be back soon
With another interesting
And worthy topic.